Going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling because there are no, first of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing. But there was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was really unworldly, to pick on it, a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Yeah, and the seats were small too. I mean, obviously it was made, for something small. But there is no, there's nothing else in there. There's just seats, the reactor, and some of the subcomponents. There's no control panels. There's no bathroom. There's no decorative components or artwork or anything that you would recognize or trim. I mean, it's just a very bare bones thing.
You claim to have snuck inside one of the most secretive facilities.
This facility isn't about UFOs or advanced aircraft. It's about something much darker, creature containment.
Creature containment, like cryptids? Are we talking Bigfoot and Chupacabra?
Not just Bigfoot. Imagine every urban legend you've ever heard. Wendigos, skinwalkers, Mothman. They're real, and the government is holding them in this facility. And it's not just that. They're experimenting on them, studying them, trying to weaponize them.
Hold up. You're telling me that these cryptids, these creatures of legend, actually exist and that they're locked up in some desert compound?
Yes, and many others that you've never heard of and probably never will. It's a little-known facility deep in the Nevada desert, not far from S4, commonly known as Area 51, but it's not on any map. It's called Project Asylum. I can't disclose how I managed to get inside, I will say. A journalist friend tipped me off. Once I was inside, what I saw was horrifying. Rows of containment cells, each holding a different creature. Some of them looked like they'd been there for years, maybe even decades. All types of sizes. Some looked fragile and frail. Others were dangerous and monstrous.
All right, describe it to me. What did you see in there? What kind of creatures?
There was this one. It was a humanoid, about 7 feet tall, with pale, almost translucent skin. It didn't have any eyes, just these dark pits where eyes should be. The scientists called it Subject R32. It had this strange ability to manipulate shadows, almost like it could blend into them. They had it in this high-security cell with light beams constantly shining on it. They said if it got into the shadows, it could escape.
Because it's not something that surprised me that they were doing these kind of acute maneuvers, but right at that instant when I saw these things making acute angles and traveling, maybe I would estimate 3,000 to 4,000 miles per hour, and then immediately making a acute turn, I knew that they weren't ours. And I had a special background with the Skunk Works, Lockheed Aircraft, Advanced Development and Engineering, that said, these are not ours. And having been a pilot, I'm thinking, what kind of forces these, if there were people in these craft, what kind of forces their bodies are taking? Then I said, well, these have to be guided by some type of intelligent pilot, if you will, and being a pilot. And I thought, wow, how long will this go on? So it went on, apparently, from my point of view, for about another 90 seconds. And then all of a sudden they seemed to group from what would be hundreds of miles in the sky to the east, or to the west, and they came into a circle, rotated in a circle, and then disappeared. And I thought, wow, what a show. They were traveling so fast that you could almost see a pattern left by, if you are computer people, when you move a mouse real quick across the screen, you see a little bit of a tail. Well, that's exactly the way these 6 or 7 craft work. They all seem to group up to the west, northwest, okay? They started to come in on a circle. Just directly east of that is what is known as Area 51. We knew it as the Groom Lake Flight Test Facility, and it was where we tested our aircraft after we got the prototype made from the Skunk Works. Let's get back to the circle in the sky. What they did was coalesce and started rotating in a circle, and then they disappeared. Well, I thought, gee, this is something that we have to keep quiet, and that was verified by the Chief of Security. Now, we don't know who was guiding those, but they were certainly intelligent, and we don't know where they landed because they coalesced and disappeared. That I will testify under oath as to what I say is true, and I will do so before Congress. Thank you.
I've had a lot of people say to me, I should just say I know where this large UAP craft is located. And I've explained very strong reasons exist for why that particularly national security sensitive installation shouldn't be revealed. Ultimately, we're all part of a very good alliance, the Five Eyes Alliance, that has kept world peace and security since the end of World War II. The Yakuza Agreement, the Five Eyes, an alliance between my country, Australia, and the United States, England, Canada, New Zealand. It's really important. And for the good reason, we don't want to jeopardize vital national security concerns. I know exactly where it is.
My goodness. My goodness. Do you think that's going to come to light?
One day.
One day.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because it's absolutely gobsmacking that it's being kept as a secret.
Jesus.
Imagine having an object that's so big, it's just not conceivable to move it.
I can't. I can barely even comprehend that.
Yeah. I thought it was bollocks when I heard it too, and most people listening to this will anyway. But, yeah, I mean, again, just an allegation, but one that I'm, assured should be taken seriously and hopefully will be being investigated by the Congress. Because again, where did the money come from? What's that money accounted for? The continued security and control of such an object for many decades. Who's paid for that? What programs have paid for that? Has that been disclosed to taxpayers? This is going to be a really fun inquiry. If Congress starts doing its job,